I want to go over some basic math functions. Now, I know you already know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and use remainder division in JavaScript. Here I'm going to go over some other math functions which are very common and rather useful. So let me just go through them, and I think they're pretty obvious what they do. So the first thing I did was I made a variable. Oops, better say var. Okay, I made a variable called some number. In fact, it's just a number. And I'm prompting the user for a number, and you can see I have a default here, and I use the keyword number so that JavaScript knows that it's a number. And then I'm doing a document.write to print out that number. So underneath, I'm using some very common math functions. One of them is called math seal, and notice the format of this. It's capital M for math dot seal, and then in parentheses you put either a value or a variable. So some number is a variable. So I'm math.seal. I'm taking the math.seal or math.sealing this particular value. Now, seal sounds like a ceiling, of course. It actually rounds a number up, and I think we'll find out in a minute. Math.floor truncates a number or chops off the decimal, rounds it down, I guess you could say. Math.pow, notice, has two inputs. Two numbers. The first number is a base, and the second number is the exponent to raise that to. So you'll see that this will raise some number to the third power in this case. Of course, I could type in anything here. I can even type in decimals there. Math.random makes a random number. More about that later. Math.abs finds the absolute value. You know, that basically just gets the positive value of the number. Math.square root, you know what square root does. Math.round, of course, rounds a number. And the last one, which is a little bit unusual, and it's written differently, it's some value dot, little period there, to fixed, and then a number in parentheses. Notice lowercase t, capital F. To fixed means fix it or round it to some number of decimal places. So I'm choosing 3 here. So let me just run this thing. Let me save it and run it, and we'll see what happens. Enter a number, so the default is 12.34567. Great. So math.seal rounded it up to 13, right? It was 12.34, rounded up. Math.floor truncated it, rounded it down. Math.pow raised 12 point whatever it was to the third, which I guess is 1,881 point whatever. Math.random, and you're thinking, what is that thing? Math.random actually gives you a decimal number between 0 and 1. It doesn't seem that useful when I say it like that, but you can use it to generate different ranges of random numbers. Like I could use it to generate a random number between 1 and 10 if I know what I'm doing. But anyway, so it gives me a random number between 0 and 1. Math.abs gives me the absolute value, of course, which is the same as the original. Here's the square root, here I've rounded it, and then to fixed, 3 in this case, I'm printing out to fixed 3, it chopped it off at 3 decimal places. Just to be clear, the reason that it's writing out abs, square root, whatever, is because I'm telling it, document.write, new paragraph, write out the word round, and this step right here, this is actually doing the rounding. I mean, I could have just written out, maybe it's more clear this way. I didn't have to write the word there. I mean, I could have just... So anyway, these math functions, I hope it's clear that you don't have to just put them in document.write statements. You could put them inside of an equation. Like, I'll do one in 1 second. So let me refresh this, and there's my number, and you can see it just gives me the answers. Ceiling, floor, this is pow, and so forth. What was this? Random. I forget what I was up to. Absolute value, square root, round, I think, and to fixed. So I mean, let me just do another one. Actually, just to be clear, I could do like to fixed 2 or something like that, and of course that's going to round it to 2 decimal places. I think you'll use this. This will be quite common. So I can use these operations within another expression. Like I could, for example, make myself a variable and call it answer or something like that. And I could say that, I could set answer to, I don't know, math dot square root of I don't know, square root of 3 plus, I'm just making up nonsense, but you can see that you can use these in an equation. I could say something like square root of 3 plus math dot ceil of 2.1, and actually I could put this within another function if I wanted to. I could say math dot round of this entire thing. So you can certainly use these math functions within other expressions, and then I could just alert the answer there. I don't know what that's going to come out to, some craziness there. Oh, it still asks me to enter my number, and it tells me the answer is 5. I guess that's the square root of 3 plus this rounded up, and rounded is 5. So just to be, this is a nonsense expression here, but just to be clear, you can put math functions within other math functions. And I could even put another thing around this if I wanted to. For example, I could say math.pow of this entire thing raised to the 4th or something. That's going to give me some crazy answer if I have my parentheses lined up correctly. And 625 is the answer. So these math functions, I think, are going to be very useful. And I did include a link to a nice little document with all of the math functions that you're going to be using, all of the ones that are useful. And I hope it's clear how to use them. All right, get to work.